Good morning, everybody. Happy Wednesday, March 2nd. Hope everybody's having a great morning. It's a beautiful day today. Oh, so what I'm noticing, what's going on, we've had a pretty interesting, pretty crazy real estate market going on for quite some time now. I mean, a lot of this started in 2000 and goodness, 2013, 14. I remember when I was buying a house in 2013, it was a 1,750 square foot house in Riverview, only 1 year old, and it was $167,900. And I was able to offer full price. There was other competing offers at that time. Was able to offer full price and get the offer accepted. So that's coming out of the bust of 2008 and coming into where everything was down low and start coming back. So this market's been kind of active for quite a while, but it's been extremely active for the past couple of years and pretty crazy. And this past year and a half, past 2 years has been absolutely nuts. And those of you that are active in the market are feeling it, and those of you that are overly active in the market are really feeling it, and those of you who aren't as active, when you try to do the little things that you are doing to match the level of goals and output that you want, you're feeling it too. It's difficult, it's tough. So today we're just going to talk about some reminders, some mindset, some attitude, some intention, just to kind of bring us back. We've been really harping on a lot of things with listings. We've been harping on a lot of things with sales and multiple offers and telling you how crazy the market is. I just want to acknowledge that. I want to acknowledge everything that you all are doing is absolutely amazing. I'm so appreciative for each and every one of you that shows up every day, that goes to work, that has an amazing attitude, an amazing mindset, amazing energy. And I just want to talk a little bit about that today. Just give you some things to think about and try and get out of your head sometimes, because if you get in your head, you're dead. And it gets really, John, if you can elaborate volume better, those two words don't do anything without any reference point for me, please, just so I know if I need to fix it or whatever. Just things, I just want to give you some reminders. So I'm going to start off with two things, two little stories. Number one, I was listening to this gentleman talk today. His name is Patrick Bet-David, and he was doing a podcast, and I like listening to people's stories and what they've done and the way they think, because there's no absolute right way, have to, must. Everybody has their own little way of doing things. So he's talking about this story, a story that was in a John Maxwell book, just a really short affirmations book by John Maxwell. Okay, thanks, John. So John Maxwell wrote this little book, and it's about this guy who was really into war and army and military. He was just like a huge buff on the history and military strategy, army, but he never went into the army, never got involved with the military, never got involved with any of the branches of them. And when the story is, as he passes and he comes up to the to the gates, and he's talking to St. Peter, and he says, "I have a question for you." The guy asks St. Peter, "I have a question for you. I just wanted to know, I really have to know, who was the greatest general of all time? Who was the most amazing general, the one who led the most amazing way, who was inspirational, who was a strategist? Was it Patton? Was it General Patton?" And Peter says, "No." He says, "Was it Washington? Was it George Washington?" He says, "No." He goes, "Was it Ulysses Grant?" He goes, "Who was it? I have to know." And St. Peter looks him dead in the eyes, and he tells him, "It was you." He says, "Me? What do you mean?" He says, "That day that you spoke to that recruiter and you decided to not go into the military is the day that you decided to not be the greatest general of all time. You would have been the greatest general ever to live, but you made a decision that day to not, because of fear, because of doubt, because of whatever it was that was holding you back." So I just want to remind you that you're one decision away from having the greatest life of all time, but it starts with one simple decision. It starts with one simple mindset, one simple change of focus. You are one decision away from having the greatest changes that you can ever have in your life by making one decision. That one decision might be getting up and going to the gym this morning. That one decision might be driving through that neighborhood and you running into somebody. That one decision could be that you have to go to the store at 9 o'clock at night to get something for the following morning. You don't know what that one decision is. We don't always know what that one decision is, but you just have to be more aware and you have to be able to make decisions a little bit quicker sometimes. And then I want to share this. Now, this is how easy it is to shift focus. Everybody take a look at this. Hold on, I got to share screen. Take a look at this screen. And for those of you that received this email this morning, do me a favor, don't chat in what you've already seen or read. If you haven't seen this yet, please feel free to. Read through this and just tell me what you notice. Read through the math questions here. 9 times 1 is 9, 9 times 2 is 18. Read all the way through that. When you see it, when you read it, when you understand it, when you notice something, anything at all, chat it in and tell me what you notice. Just tell me what's on the screen. Tell me what you see. I would love some chats. Tell me what you see. Tell me what you see. 9 times 10 is not 91. 9 times 10 is not 91. It's multiples. It's not. The last one is wrong. What else? Anybody else see anything? It's not right or wrong answers here for what you chat in. I just want some identification here. Just tell me what you see. What's on the screen? Tell me about those 10 equations. Anything else? 9 times 10 equals 90, not 91. Correct? Good. All right. Yep. 9 of them are right. Vicki, you need to stop. I asked you not to do that, but no, just playing. Okay, so here's what I want you. Here's the point of this. This is the message I sent out this morning to my team, just as a reminder. If I walked up into the front of your classroom and I wrote all 9 of these equations, simple math scenarios on the board, what would you do? What would you say? How would you react if this is what I wrote? If I walked up to the front of your room, the front of your classroom and did that? Because then I could bet, like every single one of you did, that each and every one of you would tell me about the mistake that I made on the very last line. 9 times 10 is 90, not 91. And you'd all be correct. Every single one of you would be right. But what about the 9 other questions that I answered correct and answered right? What about those? Why were those not pointed out? Why was that not any part of mention? So despite getting 9 out of 10 of the equations correct, a 90% if I was taking a test. So if I was taking any test anywhere, I would have had a 90%, an A rating, a superior passing rating. And if I was being graded, you all still would have criticized me for the one mistake. So what do we take away from this? What's the takeaway here? It just means that despite being very successful in life, doing 9 out of every 10 things correct, society's only always going to notice the smallest mistake, and by God, they will be sure to point it out. You will have people in your life that will point out these simple mistakes that you make over and over again. The 1 out of 10 mistakes that you make, they will point them out. And this is why your belief in what you are doing and in yourself, your mindset and attitude that you put forward, and the action that you take is so important, because you can't let one simple criticism destroy all of your hopes and dreams. Only those who do nothing do not make mistakes. So just keep that in mind as you're going through. There's a lot of people who are going to criticize you for taking chances. There's a lot of people who are going to criticize you for the things that you did. But you're never going to be criticized by anybody doing more than you. You're only ever going to be criticized by people doing less. So get out, get a strong belief in what you want, get a strong why and purpose for what you're doing, determine what it is that you're going to, create a strong action every single day that you can help to harness that right mindset and take action every single day towards the thing that you want. And don't listen to the haters who are criticizing you, because they're always going to be the people doing way less than you. The people that are doing more than you are never going to be criticizing you. They're the ones who are going to be lifting you up and acknowledging the things that you did, because they've been there before and they've seen it and they've done it. And they know the struggle and they know how hard it is and they want you to succeed. So just remember those things. We want to always make sure that we find what's right in everything that's going around, because what's wrong is always available. I just showed you. What's wrong is always available. I just showed you 10 different instances where everything, all 9 things were right. Everything but one was right. Every single thing but one was right. And you picked out the negative. You picked out the thing that was wrong. We need to make sure that we're searching for what's right as well. So for every time that you find something negative, challenge yourself to find what's right as well. Where is the balance to it? That was wrong, but let me look for what's right in this situation. Well, let me look for what's good. Let me look for the possibility. Let me look for the opportunity. I remember one week when I was selling homes very regularly, and did between 40 and 50 deals a year for a couple of years. And in 1 week, I had 5 contracts canceled. In one week, 5 dead, done. And those were all of the contracts that I had at the moment. So I don't care how much money you have or how successful you have. Every single one of you will have a damn moment or a holy moment. Like, what am I going to do? How's this going to happen? You start thinking, God, I just lost 5 contracts. I don't know. They're probably not going to do this. This buyer may not even want to work with me. The seller's going to be pissed. They're going to be doing this. They're going to be that. And it just made a shift. So I've got 5 opportunities. 5 opportunities. And I got down and I sat down and I determined, what am I going to do to generate the opportunity? Where is the positive in each one of these opportunities? And by the end of the following week, like literally within 7 days, I had all 5 of them back under contract, and one of the listings was a double side. So it ended up being 6 sides instead of 5. So I ended up being in a much better situation a week later because of the attitude, intention, and mindset. So you get to choose what you're going to focus on. And I would ask you to challenge yourself. The minute you find something negative of what's going on around you, the minute that you see a negative scenario or you point out something negative in somebody else, you need to be the person that challenges yourself to look for something that's positive, look for an opportunity, look for what's right, look for the blessing, look for the beauty in the situation as well. If you start training your brain and your mind to do that, you're going to be much better off. And you're going to have a much better attitude, a much better mindset. And then you'll naturally start to do that without even having to force yourself to. So again, we're going to jump in. I'm going to talk about some more mindset, just because it's important right now with everything that we have going on. So we'll rant a little bit about things you've heard before, but I want to expand on them. I want to talk about them, and I want to hear some feedback, and we may ask some questions of you. So feel free to chat in and tell me what you think. So, the most basic way that I can explain mindset to you is Henry Ford's quote: whether you think you can or think you can't, you're right. That simple thought, that simple attitude of, if I believe I can, I'm going to take better action. I'm going to have more potential. The action I take is going to be supported by a stronger belief, because I believe I can do it. I'm more prone to take stronger action, more action, and keep going if something hits me. So if I believe that I can and I think that I can, then I have a good, strong possibility that I will. And if I think that I can't, the potential that I have that I'm going to be taking action from is going to be much lower. The belief that I have in myself is going to be much lower. The action that I'm going to take is going to be much lower because I think that I can't do it. How many times have you thought that you couldn't do something, and when you went out to do it, you're telling yourself that the whole time that you're taking that action or thinking about what to do next, and everything just seems like it's a problem, it's a waste of time, you're not going to do it. You think that and you feel that. And when you do that, your outcome is going to be in line with that. It's called a success cycle. Your belief, whether you think you can or think you can't, the belief that you have inside of yourself is going to determine the potential that you have to take action towards anything. The potential that you have to take action towards anything is going to determine the level of action that you take, whether it's going to be stronger, whether it's going to be persistent, or whether it's going to be weaker and it's not going to be backed by anything. And once you take that action and you start getting a result, do you think you're going to get a better result, or do you think that result's going to be a little bit less? Do you think that result will not be as strong? But if you believed in yourself and you had that potential belief and you know that you can do it and you feel like you can do it, and you take the strong action and you don't stop and you keep showing up, and you don't take no for an answer. It doesn't matter because I got 9 out of 10 right. It doesn't matter what that one person said. And the result that I got was, look, I got 9 of them right. That's a 90%. I don't care what he said about the one I got wrong. You tell yourself that belief that I know what I'm doing. I can do that simple math. I can do the 9 multiples. I know that I can do it, and I'll show up and I'll do the other ones again. Now I have even stronger potential. And it's a self-fulfilling cycle that continues to go, that continues to build on it. But you have to be careful because this self-fulfilling cycle can switch and go the other way as well. If you focus on that one thing out of 10, that 9 times 10 is 91 instead of the right answer. If I focus on that, man, I can't believe that I got that wrong. How stupid do I have to be to screw up that one thing? You knew them, but I guess you don't know them because you can't even get that one simple thing right. Even if it was just a mistake, it was I wrote it wrong, I accidentally screwed, whatever it was, just I miswrote it. That potential now that I have is much less. And if I go in and take a test right after that, I'm going to be more likely to get more questions wrong. This has been studied over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. In the Asian culture, maths and sciences are highly touted in school. So there's a lot of stereotypes around that state that Asian culture is better in math and sciences, but they are very strongly touted in that culture. So if you are a woman and an Asian woman taking a test, in the Asian culture, women are looked at as a little lower than men. That's the way their culture is. It's not a belief that I have, but it's the way their culture is. They're looked at as a little bit lower in that culture. So if you were an Asian woman going to take a test, they did a study on this, and they changed one question on this test before you took the test. You sat down, you went to take your test. They asked you a series of questions about yourself and about what you did, about your history. The one question they asked some of them were, what is your ethnicity? And if they were able to check Asian. The other test that they gave other women in this test that they did was, what is your sex, male or female? And the women that checked the female box versus the women that checked the Asian box scored lower on the test by like 10 to 12% lower, because they checked female, and in their mind, the way that they were brought up, their associations, their belief about themselves as a woman being of a lower standard caused them to have a different outcome. The potential that they took before they took the test created an action on the test that was not as strong as the ones who had a belief that I'm Asian, I'm good at math, I'm good at science, that's what our culture believes, that's what I've always done, that's what I studied, that's what I did, that's who I am. The potential is much greater and stronger. The action they took was a 10 to 12% greater score on that test. And then the result, obviously the answer, which reinstills the belief, see, I told you I could do math and science. Or see, I told you I was a woman and I didn't score as well because of that. That's the power of belief. The same thing with when they look at, if I was going to ask you about different brands, what do different brands see? What do different brands believe? If I ask you Apple, Apple's brand stands for innovation, creativity, things like that. Microsoft, yes, they built something, but it doesn't have the same kind of culture type feeling and flow behind it as the Apple brand. So they had another test, and they took a study before people took this creativity assessment. The ones that saw the Apple logo before taking this creativity assessment scored higher and better on the assessment and more creative than the ones who took the assessment that saw the Microsoft logos before. It's crazy how our brain and our body and our minds are being triggered by everything that's around us and all these things around us. It's unreal and unbelievable. Got a couple of chats. Look at I always refer to the story of the little engine that could, and if he said, I think I can't, it would have been the shortest story in the world. I can't, the end. I love that, Lauren. All of my previous Chinese students loved math. And again, that's part of their culture and how they were raised to believe and how they were raised, and it does have an influence on them. I've told this story about, we don't even realize how much our beliefs are being imprinted and triggered by the things around us. There's another study that was done. Like I told you, I'm going to go off on small little tangents just to kind of talk about these things and talk about it in real life, how these things actually happen, and help you understand that maybe you do have more control over your brain than you believe. They did a test. A gentleman, they wanted to see how much advertising potentially could influence and how much outside influence could have on somebody's decision-making capabilities. A gentleman holding either a hot cup of coffee or a cold iced cup of coffee. It's the only difference. It was the same person when they did all of these tests. They had him walk up into an area. It was like a mall or a park or something, a crowded area. And he was walking through there, and he was dressed as like a businessman. He asked someone to hold his coffee briefly while he could fix his shoe, fix his pants, whatever it was. It was very briefly, less than 10 seconds. They held on to it very briefly. He grabbed the hot or cold cup away from them. That was the only difference. The researchers then paid attention to the person that he did that with. They went and followed him, and a few minutes later, they walked up to them. Unknowingly, they had no idea what was going on. They had a series of questions and a story, and they said, "Excuse me, would you mind reading a story and giving us 5 to 10 minutes of your time? For $20, we'll compensate you for your time." The majority of the people all said yes. When they asked them to read the same story. It was about a man who was the main character of this short, brief story, and they read through it all. And would you believe that 80% of the people who read the story and held the hot cup of coffee, when they asked them questions about the main character, said the main character, if they held the hot cup of coffee, was warm, inviting, overall, just pleasant character, and they associated to him. 80% of the people who had the hot cup of coffee said that. But then the people who held the cold cup, the iced coffee, who read the same story, 80% of them said he was cold, abrasive, and just not generally a likable person. Same story, same everything. The only difference was 20 minutes prior, they were holding a hot cup or a cold cup, and that was where their reaction was. So that's why you have to take such a strong hold of your mindset and on your beliefs, because marketers, advertisers, everybody is out there trying to get your attention. Everybody is out there trying to captivate you and capture you and trying to get that attention from you. And you have to become the person who takes control of your mind. You have to be the one that's going to take control of those thoughts. What we feed ourselves is what we will become. Absolutely. So absolutely. So ask yourself, what are the last 5 thoughts that you've had in your head? What are the last 5 things that came out of your mind today that you said about yourself or about others? What are those? Those are the thoughts that you want to start getting a hold of. So again, your mindset is shaped by thoughts and beliefs. Sometimes those beliefs are cultural, like we saw with the Asian culture example that I gave you, with the sexes of the women being this way or that way because of a culture. So it can be shaped by beliefs in your surroundings. And by the time we're 7 years old, a good 80 to 90% of your beliefs are starting to be imprinted on you. By the time you're 35 years old, if you are not someone who is constantly in a growth mindset, which we'll touch on in a little bit, and you're in that fixed mindset, by the time you're 35 years old, your habits, your actions, your emotions, your beliefs, your reactions, all of those things are pretty well predetermined and programmed into your brain because of the way you grew up and the things that you believed and the way that you act and the things that you say, if you are a fixed mindset person. So actually, let's just jump into that. What's the difference between a fixed mindset and a growth mindset? What's the difference? A fixed mindset, very simply put, a fixed mindset is somebody who says, it's just the way that I am. Because I was born a man, because I was born a woman, because I'm short, because I'm tall, because I'm blonde, because I'm brown-haired, because I have blue eyes, because I have brown eyes, because I was born here, because I'm from here, because my mom did this to me, because of those things. Fixed mindset. I'm either good or I'm not. Failure is the limit of my abilities. So when I fail, that's my limit. You know, the message I sent out yesterday was people don't fail. No one ever fails. They just quit. Prove me wrong. They just quit. There's a big difference there. You didn't fail. You just refused to get up again. You refused to go at it one more time. You quit. You gave up. And that's a fixed mindset. Someone who says, this is the limit. That's it. I'm done. How about another fixed mindset? I don't like to be challenged. I can either do it or I can't. That's it. There's no other possibility. When I'm frustrated, I give up. Feedback and criticism are personally attacking me. I stick to what I know. That's a fixed mindset. Somebody who feels that they are fixed by their genetics, by their DNA, by their upbringing, because I was treated this way, because my parents did this to me, because I had 3 brothers who did that, because this is why I am this way. It is fixed and it's not going to change. I can't change it. I'm not even going to try. And they quit. That's the difference. What's a growth mindset? Let's just read some of the quotes there. Failure is an opportunity to grow. If I failed, I never failed. I didn't really fail, because the only time I fail is when I give up and when I quit and I don't try again. It's an opportunity. Let me learn from it. Let me see why it didn't go the way that I wanted, and let me see what I have to do different to try and keep going. Let me see if I'm running east, searching for a sunset when I should be running west. Simple things like that. Sometimes we just don't know what the direction we're running in, and we need some outside criticism that's going to give us a little direction to go the other way. We need a coach. We need peers. We need people that are going to help us, talk with us, and keep pointing us in that right direction. I can learn to do anything that I want. Challenges help me grow. My effort and attitude determine my abilities. Feedback is constructive. I'm inspired by the success of others. I like to try new things. So a fixed mindset and a growth mindset. But let me tell you, and I might lose you some of here, but I'll say it anyway. It even comes down to your physical body and your DNA. Everybody thinks there's a lot of doctors, there's a lot of science, there's a lot of awakening going on out there that people believe that you can even change certain characteristics about yourself, whether it be disease, physical inabilities, paralysis, things like that, because they have a different mindset and they never stop thinking about it, and they always keep trying and they keep persisting and they never quit. There's people believe that. You ever heard of the placebo effect? Who knows what the placebo effect is? It's a lot to chat in, so I'm not going to ask you to describe it, but fail means first attempt in learning. That's right. Lombardi said, I believe, I never lost, I learned, or I won. That's correct. So what's the placebo effect? The placebo effect is accounted for in every medicinal, every doctoral study. They understand and believe that there is going to be what they call a spontaneous remission, a spontaneous healing, a spontaneous change to somebody's illness, somebody's ailment, whatever that is, in a certain percentage of the time, where the medicine had no effect on the person because they weren't given medicine. This has been studied. This is in books. It's proven and it's shown. They've done studies where they had 3 people. All of them had the same injury in their knee. One of them they did no surgery to. One of them they did surgery to. Actually went in and repaired the knee. The third one, they cut incisions on the outside of the person's knee as if they did the surgery but did not do the surgery. That's it. Just cut the outside of the knee, wrapped it up, did everything the same as if they had the surgery but did not do the surgery. They had them do all the same rehabs. All 3 of them did all the same rehabs, went through all the same exercises, did all the same things for recovery to try and make it stronger. Remember, one no surgery, one surgery. One of them acted like they did the surgery. And in the end, the person who did not have the surgery had minimal increase in strength, 3 to 5%, nothing major. They got a little stronger because they did something. The other two, the person who had the surgery and the one that did not have surgery, did not touch the inside of their knee whatsoever, recovered the same. Their strength was the same. Their outcome was the same. Their level of pain was the same. Their abilities, their ability to stretch, to move, everything was the same. But they didn't do surgery on this person. How could that be? Something in form of a growth mindset, an attitude, an intention. There's people that they give sugar pills to instead of the medicine who actually increase what their body starts to make a chemical cocktail similar to the medicine they believe they're getting, and their body starts to heal from whatever they were treating them in these studies. Documented studies. And that's how far a growth mindset can go for someone. And guess what? It also shows that those people, when they have a doctor who's enthusiastic, who gives them this energy to and says, I've got this amazing medicine. This stuff has made such a difference in so many of my patients' lives. You would not believe the outcome that it's having on them. I really think it's going to make a huge difference. When the doctor believes in it and talks about it and has that kind of energy about it, it tells them that, and the person starts to feel and believe that, and they take this placebo, and then they end up recovering more and stronger than the people who had a doctor who just gave them a placebo pill. Sometimes even stronger than people who actually took the medicine itself. That's the extent of a growth mindset. Somebody who believes that it's not fixed by their physical capabilities. It's not fixed by the way that they grew up. It's not fixed by the person that they believe themselves to be. It can change. I have a public health background. I love this stuff, and it's spot on. Well, thank you, Claire. I appreciate that. You need a coach, not a critic. They don't give awards to critics or make statues to them. That's right, Mike. So the difference between a growth mindset and a fixed mindset, where are you? Are you someone who constantly thinks that I am this way because of? Are you someone who constantly thinks white people are, black people are, women are, men are, people from here are? Are you someone who believes I can't because? Are you someone who thinks those things? You can have the most positive attitude and intentions in the world, but if your belief and your mindset inside of you is saying something different, you're running east searching for a sunset, you're never going to get it. We have to make some shifts and changes. And I'm just seeing a lot of us going through a lot of struggles. We have become so habitual in this crazy real estate world that we're doing and we're acting in that we forget that we have to care for ourselves too. You're the person who has to show up every single day in your business. And if you are not catering to yourself, catering to your mindset, catering to your attitudes, intentions, your energy, your heart, all of those things, if you're not catering to them and fixing them and working on them, what are you working on? I would say you are working on them either way, but you're not focusing on them. You're not actually being calculating with the things you're doing for them. So if you're going through every single day with attitudes and intentions that are pretty much all over the place, and these habits that are just crazy, doing all of these things, not focusing on yourself or giving yourself any self-love, any time for reflection, any time for healing, growth, repair, or any of that, you're still working on yourself. It's just not benefiting you. You're selecting a choice either way. Why not select a different choice that's going to benefit you? You made a decision to do what you did yesterday. Accept it. 100% responsibility. Your day yesterday was 100% your responsibility. You made the decision to do that. Nothing outside of you caused you to do anything. You decided to do everything that you did. And you could have made a different decision. That's 100% responsibility for your actions. That's 100% responsibility for what you could have done. It's just different. It's a different way of thinking, but guess what? It's very freeing. You think that you would find more guilt, you'd find more of this if you're trying to take responsibility, but you don't. It's more freeing. So, what we've talked a little bit about this. What shapes your thoughts and beliefs? Well, shaping of your thoughts and beliefs comes from You hear when we talked about it in Next Level University, when we talk about it in in all the other Beggins universities and classes about the tribe factor. Like your family is basically like a tribe, and this one tribe believes in this, and that other tribe over there believes that, and the tribe over there believes this. So based on the tribe that you grew up in, you're going to develop different beliefs. So that's why somebody who lives next to you can believe something completely different than you, even though you grew up in the same part of town, went to the same school, had parents who worked at the same place. But when they went home, things could have been different. Their beliefs, their attitudes, intentions, and everything could be different. So that's shaped by that. It becomes a blueprint for your future. But the cool part is your blueprint doesn't have to stick. You can move the walls. You can redraft a new blueprint. You can choose to do things different. You have the choice. You have the ability to do that, but you have to make the decision. You can always change that. And then coming back to thoughts and beliefs and habits, thoughts become things. So the beliefs that you have, the tribal upbringing that you have, your family, your this, that, everything that you're around, they created feelings inside of you. Those feelings created an emotion. That emotion created potential. That potential turned into action. That action repeated over and over again became a habit. Now, this goes so far as to your emotional reactions to people. What if you had a parent that did exactly what some of us did, or pretty much every single one of us would do when you read those 10 questions? 9 times 1 is 9, 9 times 2 is 18, all the way down to 9 times 10 is what? 91. No. What if you had a parent who only did that? Who focused on nothing but the one thing you did wrong? Could you develop a habit that caused you to be fearful of doing anything, even though you did 9 things right, but there was one thing wrong, and nobody told you about the 9 things right, and they told you about the one thing that you did wrong over and over and over and over and over again, always telling you about the bad, always telling you about what you did? Could you develop a habit of not wanting to try as hard, not wanting to show up, being afraid, being maybe someone who's not as socially outgoing, more of an introvert? Could you find someone that does that? Yes. You're looking at one. I had a lot of that growing up. And until I'd made a decision to shift my mindset and to accept that that did not define me, and that my family did the best that they could with everything that they have, and it's 100% my responsibility to change anything that I want to make any changes to, and I need to stop blaming anything, anybody, or everything for any of the outcomes that I have. That's when things started to change. But you have the pity parties, you have all of those things. We all do it. But you can have that. Thoughts become things. Every thought that you have right now is completely made up from inside of you. Completely made up, every single one of them. It is developed from your level of perception. Correct? No one put any of those thoughts into you. I'm telling you all of this right now. Half of you are thinking one thing, the other half are thinking another thing, or there's parts of you thinking this, there's parts of you thinking that. Some of you saying, it's BS. Some of you saying, I believe it. Others of you saying, maybe I should try it. Others saying, well, I just can't do that. It's the same thought. There's, 70 some of you online right now. Yet every single one of you is perceiving things differently. And the thought that you have is made up in your head. It came directly from you, only from you. How can you have 2 people go to a movie, the same movie? 2 people go to a same movie and they both come out and one of them says it was the most amazing movie they ever saw. The other one just goes, I've seen better. They watched the same movie. How can you have different reactions? So drastic. How can you have 2 people go to war and come back injured? One of them gets into drugs and alcohol and ends up dying because of that. The other one says, this is my meaning and purpose. I'm going to make a difference in people's lives. I need to help more people who went through what I went through. It all comes from inside of you. It's 100% your responsibility to determine the thoughts that you have. It's 100% your responsibility to determine what you're going to focus on. It's 100% yours. You just have to take that first step. So every thought you've ever had is completely made up, and they're directed based on your tribal upbringing and blueprint. That's where you get the basis of it. But even that blueprint can change. You don't have to be stuck in a fixed mindset with all of the things that you had from when you were 7 years old. So there's many of us, and me included, carry a lot of those same things from when you were children, young children, to now. So let me tell you, is that the best time to determine how the rest of your life is going to be when you're 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7? Is that the best time to determine what your habits are going to be for the rest of your life? Is that the best time to determine how you're going to react when somebody tells you you did something wrong, or when somebody says something to you, or somebody acts a certain way? Is that the best time to determine what the remaining 80, maybe 80, 90 years of your life are going to be like? No. And that's the catch with a fixed mindset. If you stick with that mindset, those are the things you're going to be stuck with. You have to have the ability to open up and grow. So the events that happen to you plus the reaction that you have equals your outcome. So things are going to happen to you. You have to determine your thoughts. You have to be in control of those thoughts to determine what the outcome is going to be. So this Lexus story, there's a Lexus dealer who's a huge, huge Lexus dealer. And during the time of 2008, when things were crashing, people weren't buying cars. People weren't buying luxury cars. Market crashed, real estate crashed, pensions were lost, 401ks were lost. People were not spending money on luxury cars. And that was the attitude and mindset of a lot of car dealers at that time. That was the attitude and mindset of a lot of business owners at that time. People aren't spending their extra cash on these kind of things. They're spending them on making sure that they can stay afloat, keep their home if they can. So what one dealer said is, maybe we need to change our reaction, because I can't control the events that happen. I can only control my reaction. And the events are always going to happen. I have no control over that. They're always going to happen. So the only way I can change my outcome is if I change my reaction, because I can't change the event. That's a simple equation. Whatever I put into the one side is going to affect the outcome on the other side. So if the event is still going to happen and it's happening the same for everybody, and I don't want the same outcome everybody else has, I have to do something different. So this guy said, why don't we bring the cars to them? They're not coming to us. Why don't we bring them to them? And we contacted a lot of different businessmen who are having events, who were doing their different little galas that they were having at different fundraisers and things like that. And they asked if they could bring their cars. And they brought some of their cars out there, their brand new cars, and what they brought some of their salespeople in, started walking around, and they were just talking to people. They had a key and a business card with them, and they would walk up to them and talk to them, and they'd get eventually to talking about what they did, and said, "Oh, I actually work for, I'm with the Lexus dealership around the corner. Have you seen their new?" "Yeah, I love their cars. Well, I haven't seen a new one. We actually have one outside, and what I'd love to do is at some point, I'd love for you to come out and test drive it while we're here. Just take it around the block and see how you like it. Give me some feedback." A lot of the other clients that I've had have been really, really ecstatic about it. And I'd love to show you the Bose system or the Harman Kardon's stereo system, the handling, the steering, all of those things. And they got 7 out of 10 people who they approached to actually get in the car and drive it. And what happens every time you drive a new car? You get a friend who buys a car and you drive their car. What happens? Most of the time, if it's a nice car or something really cool, you get envy. You're like, wow, that's really cool. I need a new car. So all of these people who drove the car couldn't stop thinking about the new car, and their sales skyrocketed. I think they had a just over 30% increase in sales that year when everything was down, and they attribute it to that. So your reaction to the events that happen around you is going to determine the outcome that you have. If you think right now the events that are going to happen, the war over in, the potential for war in Ukraine, Russia, the invasions, all of this, COVID with whatever's going on, president, I like him, I don't like him. Those events are going to happen. You have no control over them. 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Stephen Covey talks about your circle of influence and your circle of control. I cannot control those things. But what do I have I have no influence over them, but what I have control over are my reactions. So what am I going to do to react? Am I going to act like everybody else and stop doing this, not do this, not show up, not put the outcome out, focus on the negative, watch the news, pay attention to all those things? Or am I going to focus on my outcome, what I want, my dreams, my goals, my things, and I'm going to put more time and energy and effort into that? Oh, instead I'm jumping around here. Let me see what's next. Well, here's talk about law of attraction. And law of attraction and the reticular activating system. So your brain is really, really powerful. What would happen if you had no filter on your brain whatsoever to filter out every single thing that's going on? Right? If it did not do that, what would you be hearing right now? I'd be hearing this light humming, the AC blowing, the woodpecker outside, the cars honking, all of these things, somebody rustling with papers around the corner, all of those coming into my brain all at the same time. And what would that drive me? Crazy. It'd drive me nuts. I wouldn't be able to focus. I wouldn't be able to get anything done. I'd have no clear, concise focus to determine my next action. I couldn't zone anything out to really focus in. So your brain has this section called the RAS, the reticular activating system. And its sole purpose, to make it simple, is basically to filter out everything that's not important to you and put in front of you the things that are. So whatever you show your brain and your body and your emotions, what's important to you, it's going to focus on those things. And it's going to pull more out of that. You hear Jeff talk about the example of buying a new car. What kind of car? Do you ever bought a new car? Yeah. What happened when you bought that new car? Well, I bought the car. Did you love it? Yeah, absolutely loved it. It was wonderful. Now, did you see a lot of them before you bought it? You didn't see them. I mean, I went to go look for some, but I didn't really see them a lot. Do you see them a lot now? Yeah, I see them all over the place. I see every other color that I didn't buy. All these, that one's cool. They've got this accessory. Look at what they have. Oh, that color license plate's neat. Look at the type of wheels they have. That one, they put the running boards on the side. Those headlights are different. That's a different color. Dodge or Ram doesn't make that color for their truck. Oh, I like the bed liner. I like the roll bars. They got tinted windows. That one's this model, lifted, whatever it is. I see that all over the place. I didn't see them before I bought this truck, but I see them now because I told my brain and my body and my emotions that the Ram 1500 truck was important to me. So now my RAS says, hey, that's important. Look, there it is. And it's going to point it out again and bring it to our attention. So that's why it's so important to be careful of what you're showing and what you're telling your brain. Filtering those thoughts, being in control of those thoughts. When you focus on that one thing that was wrong, the 9 times 10 is 91 instead of 90. You made a mistake. I can't believe you screwed that up. How could you do that? That was the easiest one. 9 times 10. You couldn't get that one right. When you focus on that, your brain starts to see you focus on more of those things and tell you that's what's important to you. The fact that you couldn't get that math right, and you start to focus on those more. It's that powerful all across. So that's why I ask you, when you do something and you find something negative, look for something positive. Not only will you start to create a habit, but you're also teaching your reticular activating system to look for the positive things that are going on and not just the negative ones. So there's a lot of power in that. And so just make sure that you're getting control of those things. Law of attraction, it's a powerful magnet. Everything is energy and intention. Everything is energy. Everything is energy. You can measure the energy on somebody. They have systems that they can, it's measured. This is still science. It's measured. It's documented. It's there. You can measure the energetic field around a person. And you can measure the energetic field around a person when they have different emotions and different feelings and different thoughts and different brain waves and lengths going through their body and their brain. You can measure them. They're different. You can see some are really wide and really expansive. Others are small. Others are moving really fast. Others are moving a little slower, a little more coherent. So there's so many differences. This is a law of attraction. And when you see the energy fields that are around you, energy has positive and negative charges like a magnet. So you have things that you are creating, and then you also have things that you're attracting. That's where that law of attraction comes in. So every thought that you have, everything that you think, every emotion that you feel starts to attract other things around you. That's why you have to be so cognizant and so careful of some of those things and try to at least get control of them. Try to redirect them in the direction that you want rather than allowing them to just happen. It is a law. This is not well, it's kind of, I think this happens. No, this is now, it's more so than ever. Like I said, there's a major awakening going on all around us of people starting to become aware of these things and see these things and focus on these things more. It's happening everywhere. It's a law. It's like gravity. Gravity happens. I know if I hold a pen up or I hold something up, hold this battery up, I drop it, it's going to fall to the ground. So I know that whatever I think of, whatever I feel, those emotions, those thoughts, the stronger they are, the stronger the field and that energy that I'm sending out, the stronger the intention I have, the stronger the energy that's coming out that's attracting other things to me. You ever walked into a room, and when you walked into a room or you walked into a place, you just had a feeling? What was that? Everybody says, oh, it's just my intuition. Or I just had this feeling. I don't know. It just didn't feel right. Where do you think that comes from? Just asking. It's coming from the energy. It's coming from the energy of the room, the energy of you. It's how your energy is interacting with them, how that attraction or repelling is working with wherever you walked into. So just think about those things. It is a law of attraction. Got not too much time left. I really like this one. I know I've mentioned this a bunch of times, so I'm going to say it, but I'll say it again. This goes into your energy, the law of attraction, what you're giving off, that energy field that's around you. This just goes to show you that you can control that energy field. You can direct those thoughts, which are energy, and you can direct those thoughts in those energy fields, and they can have an effect on other things. The same way you walked into a room and got a feeling, you also have an effect on other people with your energy, depending on how you focus on it, how you control it. This is just really cool. I love this. Dr. Masaru Emoto, he was a doctor who studied Messages in Water, is a book that he wrote, and he took their thoughts, their energy, and their intentions, and he had them focus them in a meditative state on water. And they would focus this energy and intention onto this water, and he had them focus all of these different attitudes, all of these different emotions, all of these different feelings at different times on different parts or different bottles or test tubes of water. And you can see the form that the water took when it was frozen. And you can see that a thank you energy, a wisdom energy, a truth energy, in eternal life energy, something believing and feeling that created these beautiful structures, these beautiful crystals. But then when you come down here and you look at polluted water before a prayer, evil energy, somebody focusing and thinking, you make me sick, this is what the molecules of water did when that energy was presented in that fashion. And then after this polluted water, they sent a loving message, a prayer message, and they focused all of their energy and intention on this water and created these beautiful crystals inside of this polluted water. And same thing over here, same exact thing. But now, how far does that go? Like you said, you've walked into a room before, you felt things, and it just doesn't feel right, or you just felt really, really awesome. And we've all been to like a concert where everything just feels amazing, but there's also everybody else around you, and all of that energy of community and everybody with the same attitude, intention, and energy feel that, and it all gets lifted up. How far does that go? Does it really affect a person inside? You know that it does because you've had feelings when you've walked into a room before and said something doesn't feel right. This study down here in the bottom right of this, bottom left of this screen, shows that it does, and shows that it has a profound effect on it. These are 3 jars of rice. 3 jars of rice. The jar all the way to the left was soaked, the rice was soaked in water that had a message of love sent to it, an energy of love that was shared to it from the prayer moments that this doctor did. These are all by Dr. Masaru Emoto. The jar in the middle was soaked in water that had nothing, no message, no anything done to it. And the jar all the way to the right was soaked in water that had a message of hate sent to it. So your energy here of love, This rice is not polluted. It's not broken down. It's not moldy. It's not decayed. It's not anything. The message, this one that was soaked in water that had no message of love, that had no message of hate, it was not given any type of energy or an intention to it, just what was around it. It's starting to break down. You can see a little bit of decay in the rice. You can see that it's not doing very well. But then when they sent this negative message to the water and then soaked the rice in it, it's moldy, it's black, it's decaying, it's breaking down, it's not doing well at all. It's even starting to get very watery at the bottom, and it's rotten. So that's the power of your thought. That's the power of your energy. That's the power of your intentions. And if water can affect a grain of rice, it can affect you. We are made up of how much water? Anybody know? Anybody want to type it in there and say how much water, what percent our bodies are made up of water? It's like 70 to 80% water, right? So the majority of our body is made up of water. Our skin, our cells, our organs, our blood, everything, majority of it's all made up of water. So if you're feeling a certain way, it's affecting all of you. And if all of you is feeling a certain way, it's giving off an energy and an intention. And if you are going out into the world and you're going into a sales scenario where you're sitting down and talking to people and trying to get their business, you are giving off that energy. Good, bad, ugly, and different. It doesn't matter. You're giving it off. It's a law. It's a law of attraction. That energy is there whether you like it or not. You have to start to be in control of that. And it has an effect on you. It has an effect on your body, has an effect on your emotions, has an effect on your outcomes. Because you can't control what's going to go on around you. You can only control your reaction. And my reaction is the only thing that's going to determine the outcome, because the events are going to happen. And we've seen it all before. Two kids growing up in the same household, one ends up becoming awesome and amazing. The other one does nothing with his life. Energy, intention. It's not the blueprint that determines your life. It's your energy, your intention, your attitude, what you think, what you feel, what you believe, and what you decide to focus on. That's all for me today. It's 9:28. Hope you guys have a wonderful March 2nd, last month of the first quarter. You got 28 days to get out and make it happen. We got plenty of people getting cash closings before the end of the month. If you got a listing, you got a chance to get another deal in the books before the end of the quarter. I hope you guys have an amazing day. I want to say thank you very much for all of you for tuning in, and we will see you soon. If you need anything, please feel free to reach out to us.